Feel like maybe you want to tell me what happened in school yesterday?
Oh, I remember. Something did happen.
Yeah? What happened?
Timmy, he stole my coloring pencils off my desk when my back was turned. So I punched him in the face.
Good boy.
Jimmy.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Is that why you think you got in trouble? Because you punched him in the face? All right, here's the deal. You did not get in trouble because you punched this sneaky brat in the face. Not at all. You got in trouble because you punched a sneaky brat in the face in front of other people.
I really don't think that that's the right thing to be teaching your kid.
No, that's absolutely what I should be telling him, babe. So the lesson you gotta learn is if nobody sees it, it didn't happen.
When you're doing a movie like this that has no obvious heroes or somebody that the audience is going to come in and root for, this is a tough balancing act to do.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of tough things about making this film. One, it's that when there are no protagonists. Two, it's telling a story that takes place over 30 years and condensing that into a 2-hour narrative, which it's worthy of an 8-hour Netflix series. And then finally, you're making a film in a genre in which many of the best films, or American films, and many of my personal favorites are ever made, and of course that's Godfather and Goodfellas. So there are many challenges in making a film like this, but having a film with no protagonists is certainly one of them. But we didn't want in any way to glorify or romanticize or trivialize any of these events, because there are victims and the victims' families that I always had in the forefront of my mind when I was making the film, and these emotional wounds in the city of Boston that have yet to heal. So you can't quite make this film with the nudge, and wink that many gangster films are made with.
John, has Whitey Bulger managed to see this film yet?
Not to our knowledge, no. But when they found him surrounded in Santa Monica, and we had pictures of his apartments filled with tube socks and $800,000 in cash and a lot of guns in the wall and stuff like that. He had copies of all the different books written about the Winter Hill and Whitey Bulger. So clearly he had read all of them. So I'm confident eventually he will see the film.
Johnny Depp is extraordinary in this. How did the casting come about? Was he your first choice? Or?
Well, I like to cast actors in ways that you've never seen them. Jeff Bridges is an aging alcoholic musician in Crazy Heart, or this kind of warmth and vulnerable brother, Christian Bale in Out of the Furnace. And in this, Johnny typically plays roles in which he's very likable and you always empathize with him. He's extremely magnetic persona, which is why he's such a big movie star. But I'd never seen the type of danger that I needed to see in this part. And Johnny personally is a very kind and gentle and soulful man, and what you see on screen could not be further afield from who he is. So that was, for both of us, really exciting to see someone who has entertained the world over with really indelible characters play a man who, with his bare hands, takes the life of an 18-year-old prostitute that he's known since a baby, who happens to be the lover / stepdaughter of Rory's character. So to see Johnny go to places that I've never actually seen him go was for just a film fan in general, a fan of Johnny Depp's, was really quite mesmerizing. You
worked with Johnny Depp very closely here. What was it like on screen doing this role?
I had known about Whitey Bulger and the whole backstory to that to some degree. Of course, when I got the part, I learned more and more. As far as Johnny, I thought to myself, well, is he going to be able to pull this off? And then when I was in Boston, I went to the hair and makeup tests and kind of snuck a peek, and I looked at him with the getup on, and I was like, holy shit. I was, it was very exciting. For me, as an actor, they had wonderful dialect coaches and things like that, but I can't operate like that. I have to, do reading and then obsess about film and then go and meet people, who I know for sure had connections with Whitey Bulger. And so that ended up, some of it was just pure chance, but I was able to develop some of these resources. And it was very helpful to me, and I think ultimately to the production, because I was sort of trying to get everybody on the same page.
You have worked with Scott before. You did Out of the Furnace with the Christian Bale picture that Scott did. So you have sort of a second hand working with him here on how he works as a director and what you want to get on screen from an editor's point of view?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to work with a director repeatedly, because you do get that shorthand and communication, and you don't have the trepidation when you're first discussing things. To work with Scott, you know that the character and the performance is going to come first, and that's the greatest thing that an editor can work with. Are great performances, great characters, and then the story will come second.
He's a little humble. They were rewriting and redoing. I mean, this is a true story, so it doesn't follow the neat narrative rules that a lot of, if you just made this up, could follow. So Scott and David really, really worked hard all the way through to try to figure out, okay, what's the best way to tell this story? And it was not that easy to figure out, I think.
Well, especially because so many people love gangster pictures, and they really want this to feel like a gangster picture that they've known. And for better or for worse, it doesn't. It's a very unflinching look at a sociopathic man, and we tend to kind of take the Band-Aid off a little more slowly than we do with a lot of gangster pictures. That's a real challenge, sometimes for the viewer, and certainly as we're cutting.
Tom, can you talk about how you came about to do the score? Because it's kind of spare, it's beautifully integrated.
I've never worked on a movie like this, so with great help from Scott and from David, they guided me through the film, what was important, what is not important, and both the scenes at the table, but also upstairs. And it's funny that when I saw the table scene for the first time, like, it had such a strong impact on me. There was later I was able to laugh about it, but I remember the first time, like, my heart went up and I felt very, very uncomfortable. And we decided not to put any music there, which was even more important decision, I think, in this movie, as where to put music is where not to put music.